Happy New Year. Welcome from Project 938. It was great to see so many of you at our Christmas Eve services. And I want to offer you a little devotional on New Year's Eve and some reflections on the past year and the year ahead. Over the break, and I hope you've had a great break, I was able to see one of my favorite movies, at least portions of it, Saving Private Ryan. And the first 25 minutes of that movie is probably one of the most horrible and gruesome depictions of a historical event I've ever seen. But there's this curious thing that happens at the back end of it that's captured my imagination over the years. It's when Sergeant Mike Horvath stops, and he's in a ditch, and he pulls out three cans that look an awful lot like this. On one of the cans, it says on the top, it says Africa. On another can, it says the word Italy. And the third can he opens up, and he scoops some dirt from Omaha Beach, and he puts it in the can, and he covers it, and you see on the top of it, it says France. And he sticks it back into his backpack and looks around, making sure he's safe. You can tell that man is a seasoned soldier, and he's going to be ready for the challenges ahead of him. If you've been following our blog on the life of Joshua, the Israelites come to a similar point in time. God had led them all the way up to the Jordan River, and miraculously he leads them through the Jordan River as the priests put their foot in the water, and the waters of the Jordan River stop up, and the people of Israel walk right through the Jordan River. And as the people have gone all the way through, before the water rolls back, Joshua chooses 12 men and sends them back into the river and says, I want you to get a large stone. Grab a large stone and bring it out. And sure enough, a man from each tribe comes and brings a large stone. They make a big pile of it on the west side of the Jordan River. Joshua's intentions with that is that for the time going forth, when the children of Israel look at those stones, their parents could look back at them and say, that is when God led us through that river. For generations thereafter, the Israelites would have a tangible reminder of how God has been faithful to them. That would be part of their story that they can bring into the new challenges that they face, whatever that might be in the life of Israel. Well, the Christian story goes to that, but also goes beyond that. Not just those stones are a part of our story, but the stone that was rolled away when Jesus rose from the dead. When we look back at our story, we not only count those stones as part of God's faithfulness to our sort of family line, we look even beyond that and more closer to our time when Jesus rose from the dead. And we're reminded not only did God enable the Israelites to overcome their challenges, but Jesus conquered sin and death. And because his story is now our story, we too will conquer sin and death. And the empty tomb is a tangible reminder to us that Jesus is alive and will help us, no matter what we face, overcome sin, death, and any other challenges. It's a tangible reminder. As I think about 2017, I'm thoughtful about how God has been faithful to me and to our family. And I encourage you to think about that for yourself. This is a good time. I hope you have some time off. I hope you can find some time by yourself and think to yourself, how have you seen God be faithful to you? I know for me, every time I spend time with somebody from Project 938, I'm just reminded that God has gone ahead of us in this journey of starting a new church. That God is the one who wants to help people find their way back to God. That God is the one that's gathering a people to himself. That God is the one who has a heart for the people of Glen Mills and Westchester. That Jesus is the one who has sent us out as workers into abundant harvest. And when I drive home and I see our home, I'm reminded that God has provided everything we need. And these are tangible reminders for me of God's faithfulness to me. How about you? As you face challenges in 2018, are there tangible signs of God's faithfulness to you that you can call upon, that you can look at and remind yourself of those things. Sometimes what you need to do is you need to make a list of the ways God's been faithful, and then pick something. Pick something to be a sign. I know some folks, they'll use a Christmas ornament each year as a reminder of God's faithfulness. Is there a photo or a picture or something in your home that you could use to and make it special, almost set apart as a reminder in your story about how God's been faithful to you? That's a challenge that I would give to you over the next couple of days. Name God's faithfulness to you in this past year. And if you can you choose a tangible sign that will be a reminder to you in 2018, even in 2028, about how He's been faithful to you? One other thing. The reason why they chose a tangible sign is so that their hearts would stay true to the story that God was playing out in their lives. For the children of Israel and the people of Israel, each generation they would be tempted to take on the storylines of the other gods and the other nations. And we too have other storylines that we could follow through on, whether it be just the storyline of more upward mobility, or just making sure our children are always happy, or hopefully finding that mate, or more success and more wealth. None of these things are bad things in and of themselves. But boy, if they become ultimate things, well, just like the Israelites, we can be enslaved to them. And that's not what God wants for us. God wants freedom for us. So how do we lock ourselves into His story of freedom and goodness? My challenge you, if you do not have a daily reading habit when it comes to the Bible, start today. Would you read the book of Acts with us? If you read for one chapter a day from now until our launch date on February 4th, and you take one day off each week, you'll get all the way through the book of Acts, and you'll see the power of the local church transforming lives and bringing people back to God. You'll root yourself into that story, and as a church, we can root ourselves into God's story and His vision for what the church might be. Would you do that with us? If not that, maybe you'll read through the Bible in a year. May I encourage you to pick up a Bible reading plan. A great place to start is YouVersion. It's an app on your phone or your tablet. You can download that, and they have hundreds of reading plans. And there's one on the book of Acts we'll include in this email, and you can link into that and read along with us. It has daily devotions and questions, everything you might look for. Maybe you do have a daily reading plan, and maybe you want to pick up another chapter. Maybe you read morning and evening, as often has been the tradition for Christians through the years. The challenge I have for you is to root yourself into God's story. I really believe that Project 938 is going to be a part of God's story in many people's lives, helping them turn their hearts back to God. As we build community and strengthen faith and extend compassion, I really believe that God has called us to be a part of turning people's hearts back to Him. Look forward to being with you next Sunday on January 7th back at Fugate Middle School. We are now in an every other week preview gathering pace now, so we'll see you on the 7th, and then we'll have some evening gatherings in the in-between weeks. Hopefully you can be there with us for those. We're going to start building some infrastructure of what it means to have small groups and an apprentice culture. This is a key moment as well, so don't miss out on that. And as well, Saturday mornings we'll be gathering to share our 25,000 prayers. You can check more out about that on our website as we go forward. So glad that you joined us for this little devotion. I wish you a happy new year and a tremendous 2018. Thanks.